contribution of financial innovation to the resilience of the economy for sustained growth. His Excellency the President has asked me to remind you what he said at the beginning of this term, that he declared 2021-26 a Chisanja for socio-economic transformation. And he has guided us, all of us, to focus more resources as well as the efforts to creating wealth, jobs, and incomes for all Ugandans. But in particular, the 39% of those Ugandans who are still in a subsistence economy. Accordingly, we have designed the national budget strategy for next year, 2022-23, to kickstart this transformative agenda. The theme for next year's budget is full monetization of the economy through commercial agriculture, industrialization, market access, and digital transformation. And the overall goal is to incentivize in income-generating activity, is to start a number of activity that is to produce, supply free for the private sector, from market access to markets where government, as well as and support and services, actually specifically responsibility, those households also start earning income. There indirectly we shall be actually revamping the economy in a more targeted and as government, we are embarking on this agenda at a time when the economy and the global environment pandemic, we have lost nearly 3 percentage points of GDP growth in each shown by the economy. Our economy grew by 3% in 2019-20 and 3.4% in 2020. We project our GDP would have grown by of 6% and above beginning 2020. Are currently targeted at ending the and also address as well to end the pandemic impact on the business Ugandans to ensure that the economy stays open. A variant of COVID impact look again. That's why now we are putting a lot of emphasis on Ugandans. I hope in greater Ankole, the leadership and everybody, we are taking the initiative to encourage people to get vaccinated. Government is very committed to providing resources. We have cut budgets of other ministries, departments, and agencies to provide resources for the Ministry of Health to provide the vaccines and also deploy them in the different parts of the country for this effort. To support business and economic recovery, we are implementing a stimulus package to boost aggregate demand and also support businesses to restart and recover. Is for micro businesses of 10 million shillings, a total of 277 billion through circles targeting the financially expensive support funding as well as capitalization of financial system. Usually you will hear do not belong to that group. Package 2 is for small business. Has put in place a small business recovery fund of 200 billion and 49 people. These businesses must have been operated to support recovery of those businesses which were operational, and now we need to support them to recover. The operators in the night economy, as well as operators of small businesses engaged in agro-processing, and it is accessible through banks. The very banks where these businesses were with Bank of Uganda, who's the fund, there was some need, the government-owned advertisements to encourage people to go and apply for this funding. You must have been you have a tax identification number, you are paying tax, because we want to encourage also formalization deserve to be supported. So this funding and a maximum of 100 million, and large-scale business themselves, and also demystified some of the banks. People think the due diligence taken being under to lend to firms operating human capital development, that's health and education, that in this year alone, calendar 12 billion to these businesses, accessible by those engaged in commercial agriculture, as well as has grown to over 625 billion shillings as at end being capitalized, with nearly 200 businesses in agro-industry, out such companies that are households that are in subsistence. Beginning with next financial year, 2022-23, the parish development model that is being piloted in the Bukedi sub-region will be fully implemented to support the 39% of Ugandan will kickstart the full monetization of the economy, equalizers in life. If you want to equalize opportunity amongst people, as a country accesses finance, people can always, so that's why our emphasis now as can be supported to hands that I've mentioned have been realized or raised finance planning and economic development. We are no longer sleeping. We are working so hard there so that we can be able to reprioritize it as opposed to funds to find. And I believe that active sectors will contribute to faster and more inclusive recovery and growth. We are also going to implement a number of budget-neutral policies to development for our economic transformation to continue with its fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, preparing to reopen in January. My ministry to prepare themselves for reopening. And after 2 years, some of them were no longer habitable. Great Ankole, I would want to get some feedback from you before I leave. The reopening of the education sector is going to boost economic recovery, given the sector's wide amount of scholastic materials and uniforms being boosted, etc., etc., is intended to or increasing the existing taxes. I hope the URA has been able to pay that little, such that we can be able to collect revenue to finance these things we are talking about, among others. But if the few people who are on the register are the ones to pay too much for other people who are not compliant, then it ends up failing business. And we are all bound to fail. So the strategy now is to enforce more compliance of everybody, and also ensuring that all of those who are capable of paying tax, pay a little. So we shall be widening. Sometimes outright avoidance or evasion are brought into the tax bracket. Then every Ugandan will pay a little, and at the end of the day we shall have more revenue, and then we avoid these mistakes of increasing taxes every year, which affects the same people who are compliant. It's like you are punishing them for being compliant. That is our strategy now. So we want to incentivize businesses to allocate capital. Accordingly, we have started implementing some public sector reform, nationalization of government. Because private sector, I know every time you see government, you would want us to talk about what are we going to give you, or how much tax are we likely to get from you, and how is it being utilized, and so on. But we want also to emphasize the efficiency of government. When you pay this tax, where is it going? The revenue we collect, where is it going? What is it doing? So government took a decision to rationalize itself. Rationalization means to improve on the way the government is set up, the way government does business, the results which government produces, and how it accounts for the resources which you give us. Take shape. We are also automating government processes so that we reduce these inefficiencies we see in government. We are working on e-procurement. Next year, about half of the central government ministries, departments, and agencies are going to procure online. They will procure in the same way you say a WhatsApp group. You know, I think some of us, we're in a WhatsApp group. When you're in WhatsApp, in a group, if somebody is typing, you see them typing. You see like Kabushenga is typing. It stays there. Kabushenga has deleted something. Somebody will ask Kabushenga, what have you deleted? So that transparency on a WhatsApp group, if we could get its mirror image in our procurement, that the firms which are bidding, the firm doing, instead of going in smaller rooms to meet certain people, where they give bribes, we are likely to reduce on these tendencies of corruption. So we are investing in e-government procurement. As I came here, I left my officers somewhere fine-tuning this modality so that next year, at least about 50 of government ministries, departments, and agencies are on this platform. We are also going to implement the e-monitoring of schools and health centers. We have developed a platform to carry out this exercise, which some people have been, I think, not doing effectively, of inspecting and monitoring teachers. If we have children in a school and we have a number of teachers, how are they monitoring? How are they being monitored to ensure that they offer the service they are paid to offer? So we are introducing a system which is going to be monitoring the learners as well as the teachers, and also monitoring the health centers across the country to ensure that medicine the drugs and other equipment which government buys are not stolen. We are also repurposing, as I've told you, the national budget so that it is focused on purely funding what government has agreed on in the National Development Plan 3. These days, it is the National Development Plan to inform the budget, not the other way around, not the budget to inform the plan. I am therefore very optimistic about Uganda's economic recovery. We have a clear plan as well as a path to full recovery. I am confident that we are going to emerge out of this pandemic stronger, and with the reforms we have embarked on, we are going to prosper within the medium term. This symposium comes at a right time, in my view, when we are finalizing, also in government, our financing strategy. The strategy is aligned with NDP 3, and it is going to work together with other policies already in place, such as the debt management strategy and the public investment management system. We want to diversify financing options for the country and address the constraints to access to financing by both the public and private sectors. We have identified 5 related challenges to public financing, which in the end impact private sector investment performance. These are: 1, the misalignment of investments or projects to appropriate financing. There is a lot of misalignment there. For example, we see a lot of short-term financing going for longer-term investments. We want to address that anomaly. We have also the challenge of lack of diversification in financing options. Every symposium or conversation we go to, we are discussing debt and grants. Financing needs to be diversified. We need to start having conversations on private equity, on development of capital markets, on how government can finance through now emerging options like a climate financing, which some people call green financing, infrastructure financing, infrastructure bonds, and so on and so forth. There are a number of emerging options. So this strategy is intended to see how we can diversify our options. We have also, number 3, the challenge of inadequate financing to implement priorities set out in the plans, which has led to a problem of budget tokenism, giving every priority small money. And at the end of the day, we end up not achieving what we would want to do or to achieve. It's a challenge which we want to address through this strategy. Number 4 is insufficient private sector involvement in public investments. You've noticed that our private sector, government is spending a lot of money every year in public investments. In every budget, we have about 20 trillion shillings going into public investments. Some are fully government funded, others we borrow money externally funded. But how much is this money going down to the private sector of Uganda? It's a challenge which we want to address through this strategy. And number 5 is the poor sequencing of acquired loan financing, leading to delayed disbursements and completion of projects. Sometimes we've been borrowing when we are not yet ready to deploy the money. That's why I'm happy these days with UDB, where some people are not happy. Someone wants to go to UDB, you get money when you're not ready. That's why you say, these people are delaying me. Give me the money. But they have assessed you, and they have found you are not ready to deploy the money. If they gave it to you, you might fail. Like a government, sometimes we fail on certain projects. You have seen them delaying because we didn't sequence very well the borrowing with the preparation. What should come first? Should you first borrow, then you prepare? Or you first prepare yourself adequately, then you borrow? These are some of the things we are now addressing. So those 5 challenges, we are addressing them through a strategy which we have put together to ensure that our national development goals are achieved. And this strategy will explore relevant sources of financing from domestic, external, as well as those emerging financing sources. We shall publish the strategy as soon as it has undergone the approval processes. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the past 2 years have been a pain to each of us, but the future looks very bright. Why? Because as a very, very important crisis to teach us a lot of lessons, and we have learned them. We are learning that we cannot transform a country where a few people are engaged in productive economic activities. It becomes so difficult. All of those who earn some money, they know what has happened during the lockdowns. The number of people who have approached you for help. A few people feeding the rest of the clan. It's the mistake we made ourselves by thinking that for us, when we are okay in the economy, others can stay outside the economy. That's a mistake. We need to involve everybody. And this parish model is one of our main opportunities to correct that mistake, because it is taking resources and government to where people are at the parish. The people are in these parishes, represented by my good friends here. The people are not in Kampala, where usually the budget is shared, the resources are shared and distributed to the big projects without going to where the people are. So I would encourage everybody to embrace this opportunity. I don't know how many parishes you have in Greater Ankole. Is there anyone with the number, the parishes? How many parishes do we have in Greater Ankole? Please multiply those parishes by 100 million shillings. If we can put that money to proper use, that is strictly on productive activities. And as HE, the President has directed us, first focusing on the agricultural value chain, so that we have people in crop farming, in livestock, in forestry, and fisheries supported to commercialize. by using that money to acquire the inputs, including those which are for production, but also those which are for processing, for those people who are not in the economy. Please, this money is not for the people who are qualifying for UDB. This money is for people who are outside the monetary economy. And it's strictly for production, not for consumption, not for building a house. That now let me go and borrow from the parish circle and I roof my house. You know, roofing a house is also subsistence. You just sleep there. You don't earn from the house you are sleeping in, unless if it's going to be rent out. I have noticed anxiety among some people about recent spikes in prices of fuel, soap, cooking oil, and a few other specific items. This rise in prices is a temporary shock. It's a temporary shock having been caused by disruptions in the global supply chains due to COVID-19, as well as a few other mistakes which were done by certain people. We are correcting them, and the situation will soon normalize. Please support our reforms to create an economy that works for every Ugandan. I thank you very much for listening to me.
I request the UPDF to lead us in thanking him in our traditional way. Asante sana. Ongeza tena. Thank you very much. The chief guest has requested us to respond to one specific question on the issue of schools and opening in Greater Ankole region. We have shared with my colleagues, the honorable members of parliament, and agreed with Honorable Kajwenje of Kazo to come and attempt to answer that question very well. Thank you. Honorable Kajwenje, please.
Leading economic mind. Thank you so much for a brilliant presentation. And the policies aimed at uplifting the 39% of our population to the money economy. I think that is a challenge, that is the objective, that is the drive, that is the way, that is what every other Ugandan leader, businessman, farmer, or anybody should be geared at. I have consulted, we consulted among each other, and the issue, first we thank you, we thank the government for having provided support to the education industry after a long lockdown to enable them open the schools. There are conflicting, and this is very important, there are conflicting views and responses and feedback from schools across the board on the amount of money received. But what is clear, cutting, is that it was capitation grant, meaning schools cannot get same amount of money. Two, so meaning some schools got little, others got bigger. But the chief guest, what is undeniable is that the long spell of lockdown affected schools equally. All facilities, all buildings went to waste. Probably the school that has gotten a big amount of money probably has got 2 million Uganda shillings. And that cannot even renovate a classroom block. We will need to get more, but that's what the honorable members of parliament were getting. I have been told they're also waiting for another tranche, probably another quarter to help them. So when this money came, little, I cannot say little, inadequate as it were, then the district councils were able to decide which schools get renovated so that you can at least have some schools fully renovated. So this gives us a scenario that although all schools opened and the turn-up was big and all our children, school-going children, went back to school, but the facilities need to be attended to. But the chief guest, this is as far as education, is as far as government schools are concerned. A bigger percentage of our education industry is driven by private schools. These did not get, or maybe I should say, are yet to get support from government. So their facilities too were affected by lockdown. Their teachers, and these teachers in private schools are our brothers and sisters. They are part of the other percentage that we need to uplift. When they have money and they are spending, it positively affects the economy. So they too need to be catered for. Of course, we applaud the government on regulatory and supervision that is going on. Passing, realigning, refocusing the budget on development industry plays a crucial role in the effect on school going back home. They definitely, I thank you so much. Going to ban the era. They need to earn normal. It is business emergency. 39% into the money economy would not be left the private bank. The issue, so that once
Wilson Kajenje for that short, the great Ankole, the representative of the Archbishop Ankole, our chief guest, my Lord Bishop, Honorable, we take them.
Of emotions. Ready! 1xBet operandi is eligible to persons up. It's comfy and playful.
The Country Hotel bringing you your screen. This show is brought to you by Fanta. They say I recommend you first and consistently recover a lot of wealth before some seen on your screen there at home, like Grey's Anatomy. I know there is in the current Spider-Man.
They're just lost. It's the biggest treasure there's never.
Blood.
You have no idea who you partnered with.
Do films based on our own and outdoor cinema. Now, this Department of Justice attorney. The story is targeting U.S. citizens. On in the TV series Spirit Maximum.
One day the books.
What kind of bad stuff do you do?
Breaking and entering. Physical coercion. You name it, I've probably done it.
Murder?
Not on my menu.
No. Travis, not an option.
I know I wasn't a great father, but I'd like to be the best grandfather I can be.
Natalie doesn't need a fixer like you. I've been writing about the story for over a year. The United States...
Under whose orders?
The director of the FBI. How many more have to die for you to stop looking the other way?
You need to come clean, Gabe.
You're confused. If you want a normal life.
My end is now. Where's my family? If I find out you had anything to do with my granddaughter disappearing, You're gonna need more men.
You'll be finished before the day is over.
Everything I did was for you! I wanna be.
Then this is not a movie I should recommend you to watch. But for the lovers of adrenaline like me here, this is it. Showing in cinemas this week is The Ledge, an adventure of two friends who go on a rock climbing journey that turns into a terrifying night. For her safety, she becomes the next target for who I'm talking about actually is playing in the background. Now, featuring Brittany Osworth, well known for Accident Man, Ben Lamb, well known for... Now listen to this. Don't lose your grip.
Locals, they just try to climb the face but couldn't get past the ledge.
These are some pretty big rocks.
You scared me. Hey, slow down, cowboy.
Get off me!
Jesus Christ, no! The camera. Get her!
I'm coming for you, bitch!
He's not gonna let her.
Or you're against us.
Yeah, we're still here, of course, at Lovies Country Hotel. Of course, we've come to watch a movie, an outdoor movie. Can you believe it? Apart from the cinema, and of course, we're here with the... Tell us about what have you come to do here?
Man, we've come to catch an outdoor cinema thing.
Yeah, of course, I even premiered it here. Let's also see her
that
from your beautiful lady. What's the last movie you watched in cinema?
It's environment. There's a 355 action, female detectives, woman emancipation, all that. Then there's the Nightmare Alley.
Yes, right. This guy is a movie geek, of course. Tell me, what have you come to do?
Yes, Patrick, nice to meet you.
You want to come with your better half?
I come with someone, but
you don't want to be on screen.
She doesn't want to be on
I
screen.
can't check her out, don't worry.
Yeah.
Have you come with someone?
Oh yes, Cindy, please.
Hi, how you doing, lady?
Yes, Patrick, welcome. This is Lovisa Country Hotel. You're welcome. Please enjoy. It's a movie night.
Where's Lovisa from?
Chireka Road.
Oh, Chireka Road. Thank you so much.
Gongo Road.
All right. What's up? How you doing, beautiful? She's camera shy. But tell us, what brings you here?
Movie night? So far, I'm fine.
So far, you're fine. She's fine, very fine, of course, ladies and gentlemen. We're still at the movie night. Thank you so much. What's up? How you doing? What's your name and what brings you here?
I'm good. I'm Byron's Major. I'm down here with my baby. We came.
Thank you so much. Katowuliro chosen na Valentine one which should collab film.
These are the moments we live for. Yeah, and it comes once in a year.
And the beautiful lady here.
I know.
Thank you so much for watching Cinema Bliss. Of course, I passed by here at Lovicious, brought to you by Fanta Snack, all related to film. Call me up, I'll come and show you to the world what you're doing.
Snacking is a tasty treat. That's why snacking is colorful.